Namaste. Namaskaram. Arunachalam. Okay. Does everyone get it? Don't you see that no matter what is happening at any time that it's happening, that's just a facet of you? Is that hard to see sometimes? Is that difficult to see sometimes? That everything that I'm seeing is really a facet of me? Isn't there a tendency that which I'm seeing that is pleasant, that's a facet of me? But that which I see that's not very pleasant, that must be a facet of someone else. That's not a facet of me, not that unpleasant part. Yet we have to inquire, who is seeing it? Where is the seeing occurring? See? The seen and the seer are not different. It's a great paradox. In one sense, we can say, well, that which is seen and I, the seer, are different because it's over there and I'm over here, so that's not me. Do we get that one? Yet, who is it that is saying that? Now, when we look at who is saying that and see where the one who is saying that originates, what is the source of the one who is saying that? We move back into the pure awareness, the witnessing awareness of the one who is seeing the me that is seeing the you, or the other. There's a me here seeing another. But who is seeing the me that is seeing the other? Bring your inquiry all the way back to the source, where it is all occurring. Where is it originating? And simply be in that source, as that source. Just remain as that source. If you're remaining as that source, tell me, what else do you need to do? What? What do you need to do if you're remaining in the source as the source? What?
Nothing. Stay there.
Exactly, nothing. Stay there. That's all that needs to be done. And if you remain there, if it takes effort to remain there, then you're still involved in sadhana. That's your sadhana. Your sadhana is nothing more than remaining in the source. Not trying to figure out what's going in the body, what's going on in the mind, what's going on in the world, not trying to solve any of that. Your sadhana is simply remaining in the source, remaining in the self. So as long as there's effort to remain in the source, that's your sadhana. Your sadhana is still going on. Just observe that, that's all. Just see your sadhana is still occurring. And when you continue with this process, when you continue with this sadhana, this practice, to the point where you find that it is easier and easier and easier to simply remain in the source. Have you noticed that it does get easier and easier and easier to remain in the source? And you notice that it's much easier to remain in the source when you're in satsang. So, for you, you must choose to be in satsang all the time. What is being in satsang all the time? Isn't that being in the source all the time? Isn't it? It is you being in the source all the time. You being the source all the time. That's the true significance of satsang. That's what satsang is. Now, as you continue to abide in satsang, which is your own satsang, see, it's your company that you're keeping with the source, with the self, which is always in you. It's not outside of you. There's no source outside of you. Eventually, it takes no effort. Now, when I say it takes no effort, what has actually occurred is in this process of staying in the source, you're not feeding the tendencies of the mind by going there wherever the mind is going. As long as you continue to go there where the mind is going, you're feeding the mind. You're continuing to strengthen the mind. It doesn't matter what the mind is attending to. If you go there and attend to it with the mind, you are further reinforcing the mind. You're prolonging the life of the mind. And as long as you prolong the life of the mind, you're prolonging your own suffering. Because the mind is the problem. But if you remain in the source, don't go there to the mind. Don't go where the mind wants you to go. You remain in the source, and eventually, by not feeding the mind, it would be just like a plant. If you don't water the plant, if you don't continue to water the plant, say it's a pot plant, here in India, it doesn't even have to be a pot plant, just don't water it, and what's going to happen to the plant? What will happen if you don't water it? Will it dry up? Will it not die? So don't water your mind. Don't water it by continuing to give your attention to where it goes. Keep your attention only in the self. Your own I amness, this awareness that is always present as itself, as awareness. And now this awareness that is always present as itself, as awareness, the quality and nature of that awareness is infinite. Infinite. It has no beginning. It has no ending. It's timeless. And when you're able to simply abide in this timeless, infinite awareness, as this timeless, infinite awareness, without the tendencies now of the mind drawing you out, that means then it's taking no effort for you to remain in the source, in this awareness, because the mind is no longer drawing you out. And when this occurs to the point where there's no effort at all, there no longer is any effort at all. You're just abiding in it as it. What's that? What is that?
Realization.
That's realization. That's enlightenment. That's completion. That's all there is to it. Nothing else. Nothing else that you have to do. No practice. No sadhana. No work of a spiritual nature. Your destiny may be such from the body's point of view that you may have to work to provide for the body. Or if you have a family, to provide for the bodies of your family. But you remain in the source while all of that is going on. You remain in the self while all of that is going on. You remain in the pure awareness while all of that is going on. And as the pure awareness, the functioning happens. Now, everything that is functioning, you see its functioning as the total functioning of manifestation. Manifestation's total functioning on its own of the self. There's no I there doing this or doing that. It's the totality of being expressing itself. It's the allness of being expressing itself. And you are that. And the truth is, you've always been that. You've only been that. You have never been other than that. Never. There is no such thing as an individual being. There is not now, there never has been, nor will there ever be an individual being. You are the total functioning. You are the total being functioning in this moment and in all moments. But if you become identified with your mind, then the nature of the mind is to divide consciousness, apparently, and it's only an appearance, it really isn't divided, but apparently to divide consciousness into pieces and parts, into segments, into objects, into persons and places and things. But it's only the one consciousness. That's all there is, and that's all there has ever been. And that one consciousness is the self. It's you. You are that. Are we all here together? We're all experiencing this together? Now, this that we're experiencing together, all you do is continue to experience this that we're all experiencing together, and that's it. There's nothing else that has to be done. Nothing. From this consciousness, you can say, what do you want to play today? Everything is play. Everything is joy. Everything is pleasant. Everything. Even that which otherwise would appear to be unpleasant. You will see it humorously. If it's occurring for someone else, you'll see it compassionately. Still the same thing. If someone else is caught and stuck, you'll see compassionately. You can remain in the self while whatever is going on in exactly the same manner that it has always gone on. But now you're not pulled by it. You're not going there, as you say. You just remain in the self, and what's going on is going on, but it's not going on to you. It's not going on to me. There's no I or me. There's no doer there. See? They're just being. And that comes with the practice of the inquiry. Stay with the inquiry. Are you using inquiry?
Yeah.
Okay. Stay with the inquiry.
But I still find, even when I inquire then there is a thought, and it becomes who is this thought occurring to, and that kills it rather than allows it to be there.
Well, but you say, how does it kill it?
It disappears at that moment. It's not
And by what means does it disappear?
by the question being asked, or the seeing of
Well, it's not just the question being correct, but it's not just the question being asked. It's the result of the question being asked and what took place, what transpired when you asked the question, what really occurred with your attention.
what went back into the self.
Yes, the self now comes forth, and the self is what slayed the thought. And if you slay every thought, Bhagavan says it's like a fort. If there's a fort, the enemy has taken over the fort. If you're there with a gun and you're shooting the enemy every time they come out of the fort, eventually they all come out of the fort, they'll all get killed. You do that with every thought, eventually you will kill the mind, because the mind is composed of nothing but thoughts.
Yeah, but they still, as soon as I notice, I go back to the self.
Yes.
It's not that they actually coexist then, because as soon as I notice, it disappears. So
Well, they appear to coexist, yes. The self is always present, but you've been identified with the mind, not the self. And now it's a period that you go through. There will be a period of adjustment that you go through. Inquiry is in 3 phases. There's 3 phases of inquiry. The first phase is the question. When you recognize that a thought is occurring, you see that a thought is occurring, you inquire. And that brings attention back into the self. Now, as you bring attention back into the self, eventually you can begin to keep your attention in the self. You don't even have to ask the question. You just keep your attention in the self. and you remain with your attention in the self, the thoughts will come, you return your attention to the self. Keep your attention in the self. Eventually the thoughts will come less and less. And as you're attending to the self, eventually you begin to just abide in the self. Now from attending, it's abiding. That's the third phase. And as you stay in the abiding in the self, which takes a little effort also in the beginning, but eventually it takes less and less effort. And when, as I said in the very beginning here this morning, when it takes no effort at all, that's realization.
And then thoughts can just arise and you see.
There's no thoughts in the self. There are no thoughts in the self. Namaste.